Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Health and Fitness Show with Tracy. I am here with a special guest today. So some of you know me and some of you don't. For those who don't know me, I'm Tracy Markley. I've been in the fitness industry for nearly 30 years, and I used to host a radio show at KXR Radio in Florence, Oregon, and now I brought it to a podcast, the Health and Fitness Show with Tracy. I'm an author of 14 books, 2 are on the way, an author of some continuation courses, and some projects in the making. And sometimes in the podcast, it will just be me talking solo, and other times I'm going to be interviewing somebody. So today I am bringing in Keli Roberts. If you don't know Keli Roberts, you're going to learn all about her today. So stay tuned in. You're going to love her. She has been in the fitness industry probably as long as me, probably longer. I think she's been in here longer. And she has accomplished so much. She's like my hero. I will say I first heard of her and recognized her when in the 90s or the late 80s when I was doing the workout video of Cher. Cher had a workout video and Keli was her trainer and instructor on the video. And I was so impressed and I've been a fan ever since. So I'm going to read part of her bio. We'll talk about it too. It's really extensive. She's done wonderful things. And I never want to take someone's history and bio and just sum it up in a chunk, but sometimes we shorten it, but she doesn't deserve to have it shortened because she's earned everything that's listed here. And we'll talk some. And then when you listen to the podcast or watch the podcast, in below where you look down the words, you'll see where you can you can contact her on her website or find out more about her and all this more for bio and his great history of recognitions and awards that she's done. So here we go. Keli Roberts has been recognized for many prestigious awards in the fitness industry. And I'm going to read them in one moment. One of them is the 2023, she was named the Ideal International Fitness Instructor of the Year. And in 2007, she was inducted into the National Fitness Hall of Fame. And that's incredible. In 2021, she received the Lifetime Achievement NOXY Award from Equinox. And Keli is an ASCM EP and holds certifications through FAI and ASM, CES, and ACE as a GFI, HC, CPT, and a senior fitness specialist. And you're probably going to wonder, what do all those letters mean? Well, you'll learn because the titles and achievements are great. And she is a Schwinn Senior Master Trainer and a BOSU Master Trainer and a whole list of things. But I'm going to read her awards that I have right here. So some already said, but 2003 and 2004, ECA EBOW Best Use of Equipment. 2005, OBOW Best Female Presenter. 2006, OBOW Lifetime Achievement Award. And Lifetime Achievement Awards, pretty huge. 2007, inducted into the American Fitness Hall of Fame, which I already mentioned. 2008, ECA OBOW Award for Life Achievement. 2013, Best Female Presenter of the Year in Power. And she presents great workshops, great education. She's a presenter all around the world, literally all around the world. 2016, Best Female Presenter in Power. 2016 is Inspiration Award in Power. 2016, Best Female Presenter at SCW in Florida. In 2021, the Lifetime Achievement Award in Equinox. And I bet there's more she didn't list. Anyway, let's bring her in. Oh, she's also an author, and we'll let her share her books and what she's doing now. So let's bring in Keli now. Welcome, Keli.
Hi, Tracy. So good to be here. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
I wanted to say more, but we would have done the whole show. So tell us more. Okay, so you've done videos, you've done books, you've created many and hundreds of CEC education and programs and teaching live to other professionals. And let's start with, tell us about your videos and your books.
Okay. Well, my first video was with Cher, the one you mentioned. And that was a terrifying experience as a first video.
Was
because
she
I was
fun? That was it fun?
fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was terrifying and fun all at the same time because we filmed on 9mm film, not on video, because Cher wanted to look better, and
Oh,
you look better on film than you do on video. So it was filmed on 9mm, so it wasn't digital. But she only wanted to do 3 minutes at a time because she didn't want to sweat, but she was wearing a wig and that makes you very hot. So I had to film 3 minutes and then go back 32 counts and film the next 3 minutes, go back 32 counts, next 3 minutes, 32. And that was my first video. It was so technical. It
yeah.
was so technical.
Well, watching it and working out to it probably 100 something times, we wouldn't have known that happened because I did that video all the time.
A lot of people did. And I still get emails about it.
That's awesome.
Mm.
And are you guys, did she stay in touch with you after that? I probably shouldn't ask
She
that.
she didn't. I trained her for a couple of years after that, and then
Fun.
she kind of moved on and did her own thing. And I still see I run into her best friend every now and then, Paulette Betts, and I run into Paulette, and she said that they still do the video.
That's awesome.
They get together and do the video.
Was that the end of the 80s or beginning of the 90s?
Beginning of the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, I came here in 1990 from Australia. I got certified in 85 and then came to the States in 1990 because I wanted to do, it was then Idea Foundation, but it's now ACE. And it was before it was ACE.
How did you hear about them in Australia? Were they already
I was teaching at a gym and people had gone to the Idea conference and they had brought back the Idea Foundation manual. And I started reading the manual. I was like, I have to do this certification because this is so good. Because I wanted to teach continuing education and I knew I needed to continue my own education if I wanted to teach other instructors. So I thought I could either go to college, and I didn't really have the financial means to go to college because I was teaching to support myself. So it would have been too hard to go to college, or I saved up money to get a ticket to Los Angeles and started taking classes at Voight Fitness and Dance. And I did the AFA certification and the IDEA certification, which was then to become ACE.
And back then they were harder to get, I think, because you had to do the physical exam too. If you couldn't do your lunges or show people how to do certain exercises, you can't pass your test. They take that out of a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah, that's true. That's not in it was in when I did ACSM, exercise physiology, that had a practical aspect too. I had to take people's blood pressure while they were riding a bike and demonstrate how to teach someone's program that they had given me an example. They said, you've got a male who's 40 years old. He's a smoker. He has lower back pain. What program would you do? And I had to build the program using equipment and demonstrate the exercises. And that was
and I think that kind of education is so important because that's what you face every day. I mean, at least in my work.
Oh yeah.
Very rarely that I could come in and say, "Oh, nothing's wrong with me. Everything's great." Most people are like, "Well, I hurt my toe. I hurt my back. I get migraine." They always have something, and you have to have some kind of something to deepen working with them. And I was like you. I just kept learning and learning because I just felt like, how can you help someone if you don't know more?
Well, I love learning. I just did the NASM corrective exercise specialist certification just a couple of months ago and loved it. It was great.
That's nice.
Can't get enough.
So what other, so I know you made education videos and some other videos. Tell me more about more of your videos, even though Cher, I'm still so impressed with Cher one. Just because even growing up, I wanted to be Cher. I'd take my hair and she always used to flip her hair in her show and I flip my hair and I'd walk around my hand like this, like her, and pretend it was her. I was a goof. Anyway, so did doing that video take you to doing more? Is that what?
Yeah.
More? Okay.
It did. CBS Fox, who produced CBS and Fox combined, worked together to produce Cher's video, and they received so much fan mail about me that they reached out to me and offered me a series of my own. And so I shot those videos of the ultimate step workout and the ultimate circuit training workout and abs and more. And I did an infomercial with them, and I had my own step trainer. And
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was big. It sold a lot of copies. And it went, I did a tour all through the UK and Australia, and we released it and launched it there. I did a press tour for Share as well. So that was really extensive. That was big. And since then, I've done a lot of videos for fitness instructors, and for the last 3 years, I've been filming for American Specialty Health, ASH, Silver and Fit, for older
Oh,
population.
okay. You did so. Okay.
Yeah.
And after doing the one with Cher that you had to pause every 3 minutes or do the 32 counts starting again, was it a breeze doing the other ones?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Everything was digital. It made it so much easier. So when you made a
Yeah.
mistake, you could just click back digitally and know where you were. It was a breeze. That was very challenging. And it was my first video. I was in the bathroom on my knees praying. I was terrified.
Wow. But what good training. Well, that's just awesome because it made everything else like, oh, this is so much easier now.
It did.
How fun. And then you did books. You have 4 books?
Yeah,
4 books?
yeah, three.
Okay.
Yeah, just three. I did the first book was for the consumer market. It was called Fitness Hollywood. The Trainer to the Stars shares her body shaping secrets. And you can still get, it's not in print anymore, but you can still get copies on Amazon. People sell them occasionally. So sometimes it comes up on Amazon when people sell them.
And
It's
I
a
have
little
that in
hard
a
to
box.
find.
I still have all my videos. All my videos I have 2 boxes of every video and every book. So your stuff's in my box. Stuff's in my I won't
Wow.
throw them away. Like I can't throw this stuff away.
Um, I don't even own all my own videos.
You don't?
No, no, I've done so many. I've done so many. And, I did a whole series for Body Bar, and then I did a whole series for Bosu, and I did a whole series for who else? I'm just looking at my video case.
Were you in
Oh,
some you did
Shadow
some with
Boxer.
Bosus, right? Did you some
Yeah, I
Bosus?
did a lot of stuff for Bosu.
That's
Yeah,
so.
a lot of stuff for Bosu. And then I did a lot of stuff for Shadow Boxer. So I did a lot of kickboxing. I did kickboxing for fat burning kickboxing workout for dummies. That's a mouthful.
Oh, you were in that?
Yep.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did a lot of quick fix, like 10-minute series. I did a stability ball, mat Pilates, and 10-minute solution kickbox boot camp. I've done, all consumer market stuff.
And how do you see, and this is probably other people in the industry probably like this answer too. How do you the difference now, obviously we have the internet and Zoom and everything's so different now. Um, how does that affect you now? I mean, how did you go from that to how it is now?
Actually, it was a really easy transition because when the pandemic hit, I was teaching for a gym in Pasadena, and we went virtual literally a week later. And we were scrambling to figure out sound and, set up our room and get lights and
What music are you allowed to do and
what
all
music
that
could
stuff?
be used and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we were really scrambling, but we all my experience on camera was invaluable because I was used to teaching to a camera, so teaching to a screen
Yeah.
was a no-brainer. It was great. And I've continued to do that. I've filmed for ASH online live and on demand, and I'm just starting my own on-demand platform pretty soon in the next few months. I'll be
Exciting.
launching.
And
Yeah.
so, and if people want to learn more about that, they can go to your website, right?
Yeah. I'll be relaunching my website and
But
yeah.
keeping the same name, same.
Keeping the same name. Yeah, it'll be KeliRoberts.com.
Yeah, it's Keli Roberts.com, but we'll have it everywhere listed under things when you listen to this or watch it. So, oh God, what was it like being inducted to the Fitness Hall of Fame?
That's a huge honor. And, I stay in touch with the person who runs it, John. And
Mhm.
it's just an enormous honor to be in the Fitness Hall of Fame. That was in 2007, and he reached out to me, and the ceremony was very very cool. Linda Shelton and I got inducted at the same time.
Oh,
And
I didn't know Linda was there. Oh, Linda got it too. That's nice.
yeah, we got in the same year.
Oh,
Yeah,
fun.
that I think that was the year that I published my second book was published, and that was actually co-authored with Linda
Oh,
for Human
okay.
Kinetics, and that was a textbook. And then my most recent book, which was published a couple of years ago for Human Kinetics, is called a Professional's Guide to Small Group Personal Training, and that's also a textbook.
Okay.
I never want to write another textbook.
No, was it harder work than a normal book? Well, another.
Oh,
Oh, because you have to make sure everything is technically perfect and legit. No, well, we
you
don't have
can't
that
make it,
anyway, but
you can't say, I recommend doing word of mouth marketing. You can't. You have to say such and such a study demonstrates that everything has to be referenced.
yeah.
You can't make any claims that are just, even if it's true. It
I
has
was
to be
asked to
referenced.
do something in a textbook. I'm part of something right now, and they wanted me to write like a scenario that's happened with a client, but they kind of wanted me to fabricate, change it a little bit so it's more interesting to the reader. But that's not really happened. That's not the story. And I was uncomfortable with that because I wanted to be honest. I'm always honest in my work.
Yeah.
But I did have something, I will share this because I was real excited to show you. No one was around to tell me, but I finally got a hold of her last night. I got an email from a neurologist in Ireland who wrote a book and about with stroke recovery, and he wants me to write something on the book cover. And I thought, oh my God, really? So I look it up. I was like, oh, he's for real, because you get stuff sometimes you never know what's real, but he was actually for real. I was so honored. Like, this is awesome. So it's fun when you get stuff like that.
It really is. It's very validating.
Mhm.
You
It is.
feel seen.
Yeah, for your work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about looks or how fit you are, or it's not about that. It's about truly just what you've done with your brain and working, and then that it's pretty cool. You know that because you get that too.
Yeah.
So when you did you get a big award or a trophy when you're
I've
inducted
got
to
a
Hall of Fame?
plaque. I've got a wall plaque.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I've got some, you know, uh, a wall in the Fitness Hall of Fame in Chicago. There is actually a physical Fitness Hall of Fame.
So you've been to the was the is there a museum kind of too?
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
museum.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and so I got stuff in the museum.
That's so awesome. That's cool. Okay. Keli has so many things. Is there anything okay, we're going to go to a specific subject in a moment, but is there anything else you want to share first, Keli, about what we've just talked about with awards and books or anything you want someone to know about you that I'm not hitting?
No, I think that covers everything there. I've had a lot of opportunities, and I feel very blessed to have been able to. In the 90s, I trained a lot of celebrities, and that was an interesting experience, but it was never what I set out to want to do as my own personal goal. And so I was living in West Hollywood and working in gyms where that sort of profile person would be comfortable and seen. And I moved to the other side of town, started working in Pasadena. And so I stopped doing that and started working with regular folks who had, you know, a recent knee replacement or a hip replacement or a bunion surgery or a back pain or migraines due to neck problems. Or I started working with people with regular. They
Yeah.
didn't have to look good for a movie. They had to function better.
Get back to life. And as someone in the industry as well as Keli, although we have different paths, we both really respect education. And I always a lot of times I'm interviewed or if someone wants me to do like a webinar or something, they always want me to say, like the 5 best things for this, the 6 things for that, or the top 3 of this. I just don't believe there is that to anything, but whatever I do, one of my things is always the same. Learn your muscles, learn the body. Because for all the things Keli just listed that she works with her clients, there's so much more. I have people, I know you do too, who come and ask about, how can I do what you do? Or I want to specialize in that. It's like, well, you got to learn it. You have to, don't just put on your card you're specialized in it because you watched a YouTube video. If you know your muscles, you can probably help someone with shoulder recovery or something they're going through before, after, or during therapy. But if you don't know your muscles and what movements do what, you may hurt people or limit them. And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I always just say, learn your muscles. That's why I did my book on muscles. Like, just here's a muscle, here's what it attaches, here's what it does. Because I took that in college. I took it twice. I was like, how am I going to remember all these muscles? So I took it twice. But it was really just the basic, where they attach, what movement they make, or what they assist in, and that's huge for when people come into you. If they're having neck issues, if you don't what muscles and which muscles connect to all the parts around the neck, you're gonna, yeah. Anyway, so I just had to say that. So I had to say that. Okay, so one of the subjects Keli and I are going to talk about, those you guys who follow me or my work, most of my stuff is about helping others and also being kind to people and getting educated. But we're going to talk about eating disorders today. Keli, I don't know all the story of Keli, so I'm going to learn also with you here today what she's been through, and she has experienced eating disorders herself, eating disorder or disorders. I don't know yet. I'm going to let her share. So, Keli, go ahead. Just share with them your story or what you want people to learn.
Well, I think people talk about eating disorders a lot more today than they did when I first struggled. I was 17 when I was already very dysmorphic about my body. I thought that I was fat, and I wasn't. I was an athlete. I was muscular. I was strong. And my mother was very anorexic, and I wanted to weigh less than my mother. That was my goal.
And that word that you use, say it again, the M word. I want to say, I don't want to say.
Dysmorphic.
And that means when you don't realistically see what your body is in the mirror, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Dysmorphia is where you think you see something. You're seeing something that isn't there. I was seeing that I was fat, but I wasn't. I was definitely not overweight. And that was when I was 17, and I was at a party and we'd all eaten a lot, and we all went to the bathroom together, and someone showed me how to throw up. And I was hooked immediately. The next day I was immediately, I found it very easy to throw up, and I was bulimic very, very quickly. And
So this was when you were in Australia.
Yeah. I was 17. Yeah, I was very quickly very, very anorexic and bulimic. I lost a lot of weight. I was down to probably 112 pounds, about 112 pounds. I'm 138 pounds now.
And you're like 5'6" or 5'7", or how tall are you?
No, I'm 5'9".
Oh, you're 5'9". Okay. Oh, that's really small for 5'9". Okay.
Oh yeah. I was 113. My lowest weight was 93 pounds.
Wow.
And that was when I was just anorexic. I had eating disorders. I wasn't just bulimic. I went between bulimia, anorexia, and then later I discovered exercise, and I started over-exercising, and it was, I would over-exercise, then I would overeat, then I would become bulimic again, then I would starve myself, and then I would start over-exercising again. And it was just, for years, I went through this syndrome of struggle, pain.
And did they even have titles for all of them then?
They don't have a title for over-exercising. Exercise addiction, there isn't a title, but there's a title for trying to eat really healthy, that when it becomes obsessive, it's called orthorexia.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. And so I was orthorexic as well. I would be very restrictive about what I would eat, and I would only eat, like, I would obsessively only eat perfectly, by my standards. And my standards were impossible. It was completely unreasonable. And as a result of being bulimic and vomiting for so many years, it erodes all of the enamel on your teeth.
Yeah.
So I have all crowns and implants. I don't have any natural teeth in
Yeah,
my.
because it can, yeah, it rots off the enamel.
It erodes the enamel. Yeah.
Did
So
you
that's one of the consequences.
Were you in sports or dance and gymnastics and things as well at that time?
Um, I left school and got into modeling, and
Oh,
I
okay.
modeled, yeah, and I modeled in Sydney, and then I went to Europe and I modeled in Milan and Paris and Switzerland, and when I came back from that in 1984, I was fed up. And it's actually how I got into fitness, because I just did not want to be bulimic anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I was so done. And so I got help. I got into therapy, and I, at the same time, got clean and sober, because the world of drugs and the world of modeling in the 80s in Milan was very drug fueled. So that was very much a part of my story. And I I got healthy. I stopped working for about a year and got healthy, and I started eating, and I stopped throwing up, and I went from a size 2 to a size 14 in 9 months. I got, and the size 14 is not big. It was just that it was a big shock from being a size 2,
Yeah.
to have gained that much weight. And I didn't care initially, because I just wanted to be okay. I just wanted to be healthy. But I was walking down the street one day and I caught my reflection in the mirror, and I saw this person and I went, "Oh, that's a cute dress, but she's really doesn't look good in it.
It was
She's
you.
really big." And it was me. I didn't recognize myself. And then about a week later, I was sitting down, and I looked down and I had this big bulge over my jeans, and I thought my shirt was blousing over, and I touched, and it was my stomach. And those two things were such a wake-up call, because I had just been so focused on trying to get well that I wasn't looking at what I looked like. And then I connected with what I looked like, and I wasn't happy. And so I went to the gym once. I took an aerobics class, and I hated it. Hated it. I was living on welfare at the time because I wasn't working, and I couldn't afford shoes. Someone had given me like a week's free membership at a gym, and I was thinking of using my welfare to buy a membership. And the membership wasn't expensive; it was a cheap gym. But anyway, I showed up to an aerobics class with bare feet, and the instructor yelled at me for not having shoes. And then she proceeded to smile and kick her legs, and I was smoking, and I couldn't keep up, and there were mirrors everywhere, and I hated how I looked, and it was a terrible experience. So I went to the pool, because I was a swimmer all through school, and I went to the pool and I started swimming laps, and I used to walk to the pool. It was a 40-minute walk, and I'd swim for 15 minutes and then walk 40 minutes home. And within about several months, I lost a lot of weight. I thought it was from the swimming, but I'm sure it was from the 90 minutes of walking I was doing every day.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
So, but anyway, I decided to get back into modeling, and I did a few TV commercials, and I had had some money in the bank, and then I got fired from a job for being too big and I was a size 4. And I just thought, you know what? I would rather clean toilets
Yeah.
than be a model. There is no way that I want to do this anymore. So that's what got me into the fitness industry. I was going to the gym. By then I liked the gym. I had lost all the weight. I was fit. I'd been doing triathlons. I was going to the gym, taking aerobics classes.
And you're connecting how it made you feel good too.
Yes, in a huge way,
Yeah.
And so one of my friends who was an instructor said, "Oh, you should become an instructor. There's this course in called the Australian Council for Health, Education and Recreation. It's a 2-week course, and you can become an instructor." And I thought, wow, I could make a difference. How awesome is that? I could help people because I had been a model, and that it almost killed me, and I was this bad example to women, and I didn't want to represent that anymore at all.
Yeah.
And so I did the course and practiced in my living room for a long time, and then subbed a class, and then got put on the schedule at a gym, and never looked back. Just fell
Awesome.
in love with it. Fell in love with fitness.
And it's really good that you conquered the eating disorder so young, because I don't know if people really understand if that stuff goes on for years, you can die. It affects your heart. I mean, it affects your organs. I it also affects your esophagus if you do it too many years as well, huh? Besides just the teeth thing.
Yeah,
Just
my esophagus, it took about 15 years before I stopped having heartburn because I just couldn't. Yeah, my digestion was really destroyed. I had GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disease, because I had damaged the sphincter between my stomach and my esophagus from throwing up so much.
Yeah, and I think some people that go through it don't understand the long-term damage it can actually do.
Oh yeah. Well,
And I was when yes, 80s, what is it, 80s, late 80s. I did modeling years ago too. Well, two stories. One, I was 21 and I got called out. We were going to do didn't do it. I was going to do they wanted me to do a bikini calendar. I was one of the girls with bikini calendars. That I go to LA. One part of the story is the guy gave me a really bad vibe. And but what he did tell me is, and I was a size 0, I need to lose weight. I'm like, where? Where am I supposed to lose weight? I'm a size 0. And, well, you need to tone up a little here and your legs need to be thinner. I'm like, there's there's nowhere to get thinner. So me and my girlfriend joined the Jack LaLanne. It was here in Long Beach or Lakewood. And we would go and we'd take class and we just laugh. I mean, we worked out, but we laughed in class and stuff. I go, this is just insane. I'm not gonna I can't do this. But I'm still like, okay, let me just see what I can do. But then I got a call from the LA, either police or sheriff, I can't remember at the time. They found my photos. And the guy would call me and I would tell him, I don't have I have a bad vibe in you. My gut says I can't do it. And I always listen to my gut. I literally told him this. I go, if that bad vibe goes away, I'll maybe do the work. Well, he was arrested for child pornography. And they found my photo, but they called him, no, I'm 21. I didn't trust the guy. And I'm like, that's it. I'm out of it.
oh,
But, yeah, they want you to some of them want you to be thinner, then you can't be any thinner, and I was also a couple years later, there I was, they had I don't even know if they still do anymore here, the Long Beach beauty pageant, and I wasn't in it, but they asked me, it was probably 10 years later, to be the fitness expert to talk to they had the Miss Long Beach and Miss Teen Long Beach, and so I would meet with the girls and we would talk, and most of them would be like, is it okay not to eat all day? Is it all most of my eating disorders? The one that had the worst and asked the most disturbing questions, she was the winner. And I thought, because I remember before she won, like, either way, if she wins, it's going to mess her up. If she loses, it's going to mess her up. This is horrifying. So I just couldn't do that anymore either. I didn't do
yeah.
that for that. But that is around that industry. Not all the time, but yeah, a lot of it
No, a
like
lot
that.
of it. When I lived in Milan, we were sharing an apartment. There was 5 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment because your agency took 50% of everything you earned. And none of us had any money because it was so badly paid in Milan, because it was, the privilege of being photographed by these famous photographers.
Okay.
Unless you got an advertising campaign. But anyway, there were 5 people living in an apartment. One of them was a guy. He slept on the couch. There was a giant king-size bed and a single bed. And so 3 women in the bed and then 1 woman in the single bed. And 3 of the women had eating disorders, were bulimic. 3 of them, 3 out of 4.
Do you ever look back at the photos and think, wow, I looked amazing? Or you look back and say, oh my God, I was sick? Or a little both?
What's sad is I look back on the photos and, when I was younger, I was very photogenic and very, very pretty. And I hated myself. I hate that there were magazine covers that I didn't even put in my portfolio because I just didn't think they were good enough. And I look back on them now. I have them hanging on my wall now. I was really pretty.
I
I
remember
was
when the share
ugly.
video was out, I remember thinking, God, she's so beautiful. I thought that of you, that you were so beautiful. I mean, you still are, but I remember saying that when I saw the video. I didn't tell you that. She'd become weird if I told her that. But yeah, because I thought, oh, she's so beautiful. She's working with Cher. That's so awesome. But
Well,
yeah,
I thought I was ugly, and I thought I was fat, and I thought I was ugly, and I hated myself, and I look back on my modeling photos, and it makes me sad because I thought I was so ugly at the time, and I look back on them, and I wasn't ugly. I
no,
wasn't
not
at
at
all
all.
ugly. No.
I've actually recently put some old stuff up of me that I had. It's like, I was kind of shy in the day too, but I never looked at myself in the pictures and thought, "Oh my God, they're so great." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm okay," because I didn't really, I don't know. But I think we have a lot of when we've talked privately, we have a lot of like family things that are the same, and that probably played in because I know my mom wasn't the type that is like, it's not like, oh, you're so beautiful, you do this. I didn't get any of that growing up,
Mm.
none of that. And when I was with my dad and my brothers more, and they were always like, "Oh my God, you have mascara on your face, take it off." So I never really had that. So I look back and I was like, "That's me. That's what I looked like when I was younger." I had no idea because
Yeah.
you know,
I'm always very critical of my appearance. I was always too big. She was always harping at me that I was too big and that I was too muscular and that men wouldn't open doors for me and that
really,
no one would help me with my luggage at the airport if I didn't stop swimming. And I was discouraged. Mum did nothing but try and stop me from playing sport. And it was the one thing that made me feel good in school.
yeah.
It was the one thing that made me feel good. I was molested at a very young age, and I just felt bad about myself. But sport made me feel good.
Well, I'm proud of you. I am proud of you getting through all that and still doing what you do and still wanting to teach and not letting that get in your way. Because I know sometimes you go through, well, people, not everybody, they kind of it stops them,
Yeah,
just stops their life.
I think when you have a goal, that it can draw you forward even through the hard stuff. Because I always, once I discovered the fitness industry, once I discovered the fact that we can make a difference with what we do, we can change people's lives. I've had people come up to me crying, saying how much that an exercise video I did helped them, that it changed their life, that they lost, you know, hundreds of pounds as a result of doing that. And that's incredibly powerful.
Oh, and it feels so good too.
Yeah.
Not in an ego way, it just feels so
No.
like you did something from your heart and soul and helped people. And it's like,
Yeah. It
yeah,
makes a difference.
yeah, that's awesome. So, what advice would you? Well, I was also reading up on some things too about eating disorders and things, and it's big in our industry.
Yeah.
It's big in the sports industry.
Yeah.
dance, wherever, gymnastics, all different kind of sports. What advice would you give someone in junior high or high school, or even whatever ages they are in the industry? It's trying to keep up on the internet to look as good as this one over there. And I mean, it's so much right now. Um, I know listening to your story is a perfect advice. Just it's unhealthy and you got to take care of yourself. How would you advise someone to get help?
Well, if you are struggling with an eating disorder, if you are in that dark place, you definitely should get professional help. There's a lot of help. Eating Disorders Anonymous is a wonderful program. It's based on AA's 12 steps, and it's a phenomenal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful program, and I highly recommend it.
And that's worldwide too.
It's worldwide, and they have literature. They have a great book, and I've worked with other women who have eating disorders and helped them through those 12 steps. And it really, you don't try and do it alone, because an eating disorder makes you feel so isolated and alone anyway, that the last thing you want to do is try and get well on your own. Get help, get therapy, get into a fellowship, get into a program, get help, because it's deadly. Tracy, I've had 7 suicide attempts because I was so miserable. I was so desperate and so alone and so isolated and so hopeless. And I'm lucky to be alive. I really am. And I don't talk a lot about that, but I have bipolar disorder, and that's part of the suicidal stuff. But with an eating disorder, you're isolated, you're alone, you're and so desperate and so unhappy. I was anyway, and I know other people who've had eating disorders who struggle, and it is not something you want to do on your own. You want to get help.
And I know my studies years ago, or just knowing people, from my work too, that sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know if you went through part of this, that the eating disorder, sometimes it's like you feel sad or lost in your world, that you don't feel like you have no control in your world, but that's one thing you can control.
Yeah.
Is that truly a part of it?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. I think, with what happened to me as a little girl, I felt so out of control with everything around me and in my family. And I just desperately wanted to control my weight. I wanted to control my food. I wanted to control those things. And the anger that I felt from what had happened as a child was so internalized that, throwing up was this act of anger for me.
And were you like, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, is part of that you're not only angry it went on, but angry at yourself because you couldn't control what happened? That's like part of it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Angry at myself, angry at myself for not being able to stop what was happening. And I think a lot of people who are molested as children have those same feelings.
Yes, I totally believe that. I also seen the other end of it with women who've had molestations or rapes or attempted rapes or something of that sort, that they will keep weight on their body and not lose the weight because they figure it's, in a sense, some level in their body is protecting them because they think they attracted it to them.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our minds are so, like, our minds want to protect us so much that it doesn't always guide us right, and things like that. But you do what you can to survive. It's survival mode in a
Yeah.
sense, and you're getting through things. And yeah, do you find, how do I write that? How do I say this? So when you go through something like eating disorders, and also depression too, and the things you mentioned, it is all that, all those are isolating things. You're alone a lot. Um, do you still find yourself like you make more God, how do I put this? I know we make more use of our alone time after going through stuff like that. I mean, you really like your alone time, but you need people too. But you have like it's almost there's a comfort in being alone, but you have to make sure it's healthy. I think you know what I'm asking.
I think I do. I think there's a big difference between solitude and loneliness, and I like alone time. You know, I'm a couple of years ago I got married, and for the first time, good things happen late in life for me, and but I was used to having a lot of alone time, and so now I get up super early in the morning so I can just have a little space in the morning, some alone time in the morning.
Yeah, because you're used to it.
I'm used to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've always done that, for many, many years. I've gotten up early to have some time for prayer and meditation, some mindful movement and gentle stretching, and I like to start my day with that.
And when I saw like when you shared in social media everything, you got married, I was so happy for you. I was so happy for her. I didn't get married. I don't tell a lot of people this. People who haven't known me from the past, I just kind of let them assume whatever. But I didn't get married for my first time to my 40s. I just didn't. It just wasn't. I don't know. We have a lot in common, but yeah. But I remember when I was too, and I had stepkids, which I loved being a stepmom. Um, Sometimes my husband was a fireman, so I had balance of. I remember being a little one, so a fireman would be a perfect husband because he's not there all the time. I thought, why did I think that? I'm out there doing cartwheels with my friends. It just popped in my head one day. But I think I was always used to having my alone. So even though there was very lonely, lonely moments, I still get very lonely moments now. But I don't want to spend time with people that make things feel worse in my life.
Oh, I agree. I'd rather
Want
be
to-
by myself than be around the wrong kind of people.
Yes, exactly. I don't think because I know people that just hang around with everybody. It's like, God, how do you do that? That person would make me nuts. And it's people that you feel good once you're around them. You don't come home going, "Oh, I need to get over that."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, I do. And I'm
been through the stuff, so you get
introverted
it.
too.
Hmm.
Sorry.
You get it because you've been through stuff.
Yeah. And I'm also very introverted, so that alone time is a recharge time for me.
Yeah. So have you done any lectures on eating disorders, like at
I
places?
did I did in the late 90s I lectured about it, but I always feel like a doctor, he, I don't know. I'm not an RD or an RN, a registered dietitian or registered nutritionist. And so I didn't feel like I had, even though I've had a remarkable recovery, I have a great relationship with food and my body now that, you know, is is miraculous. But I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I should lecture about something I'm not like truly qualified to speak about. It's
You could share your story, but yeah, but I get
share
that.
my story. I could share my story, and I have done that.
Yeah. And
But
I respect that too because a lot of people I hate saying a lot of people. There's what it is, a lot of people they automatically make themselves life coaches and experts on what they just went through, but they're not really doctors. And
yeah,
and I think sometimes that can lead people the wrong way.
yeah, I think it does, and that's why I didn't pursue it. I did it a little bit of it, just sharing my story, but I felt it didn't feel authentic. I mean, it is authentic because I recovered from an eating disorder, but I'm not a qualified professional.
Yeah,
I'm just someone who's recovered from an eating disorder. And there's a difference. It's like, oh, I exercise, therefore I can be a trainer. No,
exactly. Exactly.
No, just because you exercise doesn't mean you're qualified to train other people. Well, I recovered from an eating disorder, but it doesn't make me qualified to help other people with their eating disorder.
Right. It's,
Professional.
yeah, you can't. Yeah, I totally get that. And I totally respect that because that's so, and I respect that because we don't become experts just because we went through something.
No.
And yeah. Um, so I'm so honored you shared that. And I really hope people listening will, I think they will get something out of your story because I think some people don't share that they're going through something like that. Because I'm sure anybody right now listening, there may be people going through it or people that's had the suicide thoughts and the things you've shared. And um, yeah, I believe just sharing your story is going to help others. And plus, I think with the fitness professionals listening, yeah, I mean, you're a big inspiration as well because everyone comes to your. Will you be at IDEA this year?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to be there, but you'll be there, and people always come to your sessions and they always learn from you. And what do you are you doing? What are you doing there this year?
I'm doing training the older female client. The
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm doing something. I'm co-presenting with Linda Shelton on strength training. It's called Stackable Strength, and that's all program designed for group strength classes.
Hmm.
And then I'm doing sessions, two Schwinn sessions.
Swim sessions?
Schwinn,
Oh, swing.
Schwinn, indoor cycling.
Oh, okay. Okay. For those who don't know, I wear hearing aids. Some people know it. And I read lips a lot and accents sometimes are harder. I don't always hear your accent, just some words I hear accents. So when there's hearing aids, hearing loss, accents, oh God, if it's COVID time during mask, I'm like, what? So yeah, so I haven't had to say what to you at all. So for just that one word I can hear. So I bet people who know me know that. And it's something that like if I don't have my hearing aids on and the timer's going off on my microwave or my oven, I don't hear the beep at all. It's just there's certain tones my ears don't hear unless my hearing aids are in. So it's always people. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just what it is. We all speak in different tones, and there's some people's tones that I don't hear unless the hearing aids. It's really bizarre how it works because my losses are like um sometimes the consonants at the beginning, the main sound, the beginning ends the words. If I don't catch the beginning, sometimes I can't finish the word or the other way around.
What do you know? What caused your hearing loss?
Um, when I was younger, when we're a kid, a lot of people get their adenoids out. I mean, their tonsils out when they're little, and your adenoids sit in your tonsils. But when I was 3, they actually took my adenoids out on their own. They took my tonsils out later, a couple years later. But I think I wasn't hearing right. I didn't speak well, so they took them out, and then I went to speech school, which I thought was speech school. It was a big brick building. Every time we drove by for years, I'm like, "Oh, there's my speech school," but it was actually the students at Long Beach State. When I got older, I went, that's not speech school, that's Long Beach State College. And so it was, I had to learn to talk again. But I don't think they ever talked about me having a hearing loss. And I couldn't, and some people know the story. I have a book called I'm Not Stupid, I Have Hearing Loss. The story's in my book. My third grade teacher, that was right around the time my parents were getting divorced, and I was having a hard time comprehending reading. The teacher would read something and then give us questions. I'm like, that's not what she just read. And I was having a hard time at everything that year. And she said, "Oh, honey, it's because your parents are divorced." But I think it was my hearing loss. I had to go and dummy reading and stuff. Years later, um, more when well, it was before I got married too, but um, I could always hear my stepkids talking. We all started living together, everything. It was a family, and they come whisper in my ear. I'm like, I can't hear you. It's like you need hearing aids. So I went to a hearing professional, and they're like, you're practically deaf in one ear. I know I didn't hear well in one ear, but I just whatever. And he said, you were probably born this way. And I told him what the teacher said. This wasn't because your parents were divorced. You probably were born this way. And then I was ill at one point in my marriage. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, but I had like, and I went through like 22 rounds of antibiotics in a couple of years, and I was getting shots. Like it was an old vaccine. I'd have to get a shot in my bottom like 7 days in a row. I think I did it 2 or 3 times. The side effect was also hearing loss, so it got worse.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of dynamics to it. Plus, one point I had a concussion when I was a little kid. I was playing like soft baseball in the cafeteria on a rainy day, and I slipped in the water. And they say sometimes having concussion as a kid can cause hearing loss. So there's so many factors. I'm not sure exactly which one or all of them affected it. So the hearing aids I have right now, hearing aids are expensive. Insurance always cover them, but Starkey, who one of the companies that make hearing aids, they liked my social media a couple years ago and contacted me and said, "We will give you a pair of our brand new top of the line hearing aids, which artificial intelligence in it, if you talk about us on social media for 6 months." Be an ambassador. I'm like, okay. So now I got really good ones. So up until like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, they don't think I ever even heard the letter S. I just read lips real good.
Wow.
All the doctors just said, "You just read lips real good." I just thought it was, I never thought it was really stupid. I just thought I wasn't really smart. So for me to actually write books, because reading and hearing and comprehension all work together, I'm surprised I can write a book. Because 20 years, I'd be like, I'm not smart enough to do it. So I think getting my hearing helped me feel smarter.
Oh,
If
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. I understand in a different way because I never felt smart. I never thought I was smart all through school because I was dyslexic and they didn't know about dyslexia back in the
No, it
60s
isn't.
and 70s. And I couldn't read aloud and I thought it was because I was stupid. And I was, right when my mum was married 5 times and husband number 3 committed suicide.
Oh,
And I was 10. And right at that time, we started learning algebra and everything stopped making sense to me. And I think because in my life, nothing was making sense. And right at that time, I got molested and everything just stopped making sense. And so I
huh.
stopped being able I couldn't do math. I couldn't put things together in my mind. And because I couldn't do math, I thought I was dumb. I thought I was stupid. And all through school, I went through thinking that I was dumb. And I didn't realize that I had any smarts at all until I started acing exams that people were failing
Yeah.
in fitness.
Yeah. When I started getting more educated in my work in fitness, I started going, I do things that other people know. No, I'm not dumb. What am I? Yeah, is that amazing? God, we have so much in common. Um, yeah, and for people like who've gone through things, especially like you, to accomplish what you accomplish is even more huge to be proud of because it was even harder
Well, I
than
think,
someone who didn't go through the background because it takes a lot of self strength and something inside you that you listened to that kept you going to keep pushing through because some people don't listen to that or they don't have it or they don't connect to it and but listening to yourself and just knowing or having a goal knowing that you're just to keep not just surviving but pushing through. I don't know if I'm wording that right. I get it also because I've done through things. You look back and sometimes you're like you're real exhausted but you got there.
yeah.
And other people may not be so tired. I talked to a counselor, a few all through my life. I went to counseling different times. Every time I always wanted to make sure I wasn't screwed up like people my parents or someone. I was like, I don't want to be like them. I would always go. Or if I went through a breakup, okay, what did I do? Was it me? If it's me, let me fix it. Um, anyway, so someone told me once and I think you probably sound the same way. You go through so many real things, especially if someone commits suicide around you when you're so young. It's like we had to adjust dealing with adult stuff like 10 to 15 years earlier than all their friends. So he told me that you're always like, he goes, when you're like 40, you're probably tired like a 50-year-old when your friends are tired like a 40-year-old because you've been living the adult world a lot longer and you get more tired. Because I do. So I have friends like, don't you guys? They don't get as tired as I do. But I remember what he said. You've been adult longer mentally and emotionally.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Do you get that way? Do you just get exhausted sometimes? Like, man,
I do get exhausted, but I usually put it down to I have an autoimmune disease that leaves me very tired. I have polymyositis, which is a rare muscle wasting inflammatory disease.
Does it hurt your muscles?
Yeah, poly or myomuscleitis inflammation. So it's your immune system attacks the muscle cell wall and causes protein to leak into your blood. And so your creatine phosphate kinase levels in your blood get very high, and it damages your kidneys and your lungs, and if it's not controlled.
So you have to be careful when you work out and how you eat, huh?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I have to be careful not to do too much. I have to do enough to stay strong, but not too much that I cause too much
Yeah.
too much eccentric stuff. I have to
Which
be-
sucks because exercise makes you feel good. It's like, wait a minute, but that makes me feel good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Weightlifting, I have to be careful of like plyometrics, anything that's very eccentric,
Okay.
because that releases CK into your blood anyway. It causes a lot of muscle damage.
And what's your favorite thing to do? Ride your bike?
Yeah, I love pedaling.
I like to see your stories on that. And your husband likes to ride too.
He does. Yeah. Yeah,
Is
we
that how
both
you
like
met him?
that. No, we met online.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah, we met online.
And he lived in Los Angeles too at the time?
Yeah, he was in Venice Beach and I was in Pasadena.
Oh, that's not too far from each other. Well, kind of.
It was okay. It was better when we started living together.
Yeah. Well, how fun. Well, I'm happy for you for that. I really was. I saw him like, and there's hope for all of us now.
Yeah, I was 61.
61.
Yeah, 61 when I got married.
And you had a lot of people at in your wedding that I knew.
Oh, yeah, probably because, yeah,
Was it Leslie
it
Bender?
was,
Was Linda and Leslie Bender all at your
yeah, Leslie was my maid of honor.
fun?
And Jay Blarnick walked me down the aisle.
Oh my God, he did? Oh, how fun.
Yeah, my family couldn't be here, so that was wonderful.
Oh, you known him forever and ever and ever.
I have. Yeah.
You did videos with him too, right?
Yeah, I did. Both of.
Well, I met him in person once it was like an idea somewhere in the 90s, and there was some bar that wiggled. He was teaching a class on it. I don't remember what, it was something you wiggled, and I don't know, because sometimes they have products there. And I met
Yeah.
him there in one of the classes, but I don't know him.
Yeah. Oh, he's a wonderful person.
We walked down the aisle. That's amazing. How fun.
Yeah.
That's nice. Well, I'm so glad you're on here, and and I hope everyone listens to everything we talk about. If you want to share, what are you working on now? What do you want to share? And what's your goal? What's going on now?
What's going on now? Well, really, I'm very focused on healing my shoulder. I had a total shoulder replacement a few months ago, and so I've been uber focused on my recovery there because I want to start filming for my own on-demand platform that I'm going to launch later this year. So it's I'm very, very focused, but I'm not able, not like
Quite there yet.
I'm not quite there yet. You know, I want to be strong before I start filming.
Well, plus, yeah, you don't want to damage the healing by starting too soon either.
Yeah.
And you got your other one done a couple years ago, right?
10 years ago. And my doctor said that this is healing slower because I'm older. Gee,
Oh,
thanks.
something like that.
It's like, there's nothing I can do about that. That sucks.
Yeah, I know. Getting old. It sucks. It's good, but then it sucks.
Yeah, there are things that really are challenging about it. I like the wisdom that's come with it, but oh,
Did the scoliosis affect your shoulder surgeries? Because it depends how your shoulders line up.
the scoliosis acted up a lot after surgery because I wasn't able to stretch as much as I used to
Oh
and
yeah.
train my core as much as I used to. So I had a lot of, and have had continued to have a lot of spasms in my back, really painful spasms. Chronic pain is the worst.
It is. I stopped it though. I've been, because I had my back injury this year. Well, 2023. And I've always had like scoliosis. I don't think I have as bad as you though. I've always dealt with back pain. It's just I sit in the floor and stretch all the time. This is what I've done since I was a little kid. Stretching feels good, so you just stretch. Go by the door frames, hang off the door, everything, always stretching. Anyway, everything I did to help my back made it worse. Every stretch, any yoga pose, cat and cow, anything made it worse. So I was just like, I'm getting to the point now I can start to do more things. It was very bizarre. Um, they think, well, I was helping my mom in hospice. I think I hurt something there. But I think they think because of the massive stress I've gone through the last couple of years that my nerves are just, and they said, before we do any procedures or anything, let's calm your nerves down. You've been living in fight and flight mode for too long and all my losses and things that you know about. And let's, so I did a procedure 2 weeks ago tomorrow where they just went in and did some injections, like steroid injection around a spot by my sacroiliac joint. And surprisingly, that helped the spot in my back. Starting at this, because he said, I think you have three things going on. Let's start here and see what happens. So I thought, God, I wish he would start like where my spine more. But he did something over in the sacroiliac joint area that actually made something in the back better. It's like, well,
Oh,
so when I go see him, I'm curious because I'm so in anatomy, muscles, and nerves. It's like, wait a minute. So you did something there, but it helped up here. I thought it'd be the other way around. So I'm very
yeah,
curious of what he's done.
yeah. Well,
But he
I'm
was
seeing a
very,
new doctor on Friday. I can't wait. So I'm hoping maybe to get some injections.
it went okay. I actually had him put me under anesthesia for like 20 minutes. Like, I can't deal with any more stress. Just knock me out. I'm too stressed out about it. So I did it that way. It actually worked out good. But what I was going to share was I've been doing the ibuprofens for over a year, and I've never done that long in my life. My last test for my kidneys showed something was elevated, and we think it was from the ibuprofen. So I just quit. I said, I'm it. I said this. I just ice. But it seems to be, it's finally getting to a point I can function more. Before it's like, I'd start my day crying for 20 minutes in pain and then it'd work out. And I've never had that kind of pain. Usually you have a pain, you can stretch it out. Like you with your back, it hurts, stretch it out. Well, you can't stretch. It's like you can't get your tweaks and stuff to go away. So I know how you feel with that. You can't stop the spasm because you can't do your certain thing on your certain angle that works because you can't lift this. And yeah, I get it. Oh man. Well, I hope your shoulder heals nicely and better. And I'm sure you're on top of your therapy, aren't you?
Oh yeah,
You do this 10 times a day, you do it 10 times a day.
yeah. No, I'm doing everything I can.
I'll share this really, it's kind of, when I was married, my husband had a shoulder surgery. They didn't want him driving his car because they thought, he'd mess it up. So we went, I drove, we went to, I think we went to Whole Foods or something, I can't remember. And we're just sitting in the car and they didn't hit my car very hard, but somebody backed in my car and he jolted and he hurt his shoulder. I go, that's why you're not supposed to be in a car. We started laughing because it messed up his shoulder because someone bumped into us. But
Oh,
it got okay. But we thought it was funny because we figured he's a pastor, he's fine. But yeah, just not scaring you. Just yeah, these little tweaks, and it was funny, but not funny. But anyway, well, thank you, Keli, so much. Let people know how they can reach you. I said your website earlier, but tell them anything else you want to share. You say it again.
yeah, you can reach me on my website, keliroberts.com, KELI Roberts.com, ROBERTS, or Instagram, Keli Roberts Fit Pro, KELI Fit Pro, and Facebook, Keli Roberts Fitness. Yeah, you'll find me on social media or on my website. So, Tracy, thank you for having me as a guest.
Welcome. I'm so glad you were here. And any of you guys go into idea, she has you three of them you're teaching? Four. She's always doing a lot there. And it's in LA again, right?
Yep.
It's funny. I lived in Oregon for 8 years. From here, I was in Huntington Beach forever. Went to Oregon for 8 years. Flew back and forth to go to IDEA like 4 times. But since I moved back, I haven't gone, and it's in LA. But it's because of my back. I couldn't even drive there. Last year, I had to cancel my session. This year, I didn't even bother. It's like, yeah, I'm not even going to try. Just driving to there right now, kind of driving too far bugs my back. Not as bad as last year, so I just have to take a break. And
Yeah.
maybe next year I'll do it again. And they'll probably have it in Vegas next year though. Yeah, because my first year back, it was in Vegas.
Yeah.
I haven't been since that one. So, okay, well, thank you, Keli Roberts. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The Health and Fitness Show with Tracy. And of course, the Health and Fitness Show doesn't just mean exercise, it's health. Health is how we eat, how we feel, everything, everything we do. That's why the subject's always different. And I hope everyone has a really good day and be kind to yourself and be kind to others because that's good for your brain care and their brain care. And thank you for being here. And thank you, Keli.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.